Hey guys! So, as I finished Mirage and made my way into Empyrea, it took like 10 seconds in the Arcanum to realize that this world is gonna be an extension of the Star Trek multiverse. Captain Pork. Yeah, so I'm just gonna outright say that I know full well that Empyrea is not gonna be my thing. I should also say that this is actually my first time playing Wiz, and this is my first character that I've been leveling up, so it might seem that it's way too early to make a video on Wiz with the fact that, haven't experienced a full game, I'm still PvE, I'm still playing through. But I just wanted to talk about what makes the worlds in Wiz fun to me. This is all objective, with the worlds I've finished so far. So, I don't know if I should have just made a worlds tier list and talked about all my rankings or what, but I just wanted to talk about why I really like and maybe don't like certain worlds. I didn't explain myself fully a few seconds ago, but I actually started playing when I was like 9, and that's when I really had no idea what I was doing, and none of that counted as real gameplay. But I was not a member back then. I just asked for a bundle and some crowns, and I ended up being a crowns only player, and made my way up to one of those places in Krokotopia where I ended up being crowns locked, so I never finished the game. I was stuck behind one of those walls, but there was always this sense of whimsy and mystery behind unlocking the worlds, which is why I finally decided to play again like 2 or 3 months ago. After getting rid of all that, like the secrets out, I know like all the different worlds and everything, I've definitely had a lot of fun, but also, I will not lie, maybe there's a little bit of disappointment in there. So, obviously Wizard City is great, but once we moved to Krokotopia, the first thing I, and basically everybody else noticed, was the repetitiveness. Judging from the world name, I probably shouldn't have expected anything more than almost every boss being a croc. The 9-year-old in me's whimsy for continuing the game was holding on by a thread. Although the gameplay was tedious, I feel like the Crocosphinx and the Balance School and the Tomb of Storms reveal made up for it, which is something I loved so much. World building is always appreciated for me, so watching the world expand to even upper and lower zigzag was pretty neat. Which is also why I really like parts of some worlds, like Azteca with the floating mountains and Celestia with the island. I just love seeing the worlds get bigger, but it's an added bonus if the story is engaging enough to contribute to that expansion. Some parts of this main quest definitely had me struggling to keep my eyes open, but I know a part of that was because I may or may not have been skipping through the quest. I feel really bad. I feel really bad that I think Khrysalis was boring, and I don't know if I should say this, but it felt like filler. I know it wasn't filler. Like, Old Cobb was introduced and all that, but oh my goodness, let me tell you. I didn't even realize Old Cobb was who he was until I searched up his character profile during the end of Mirage, which was crazy. But yeah, some parts of the mainline quest were just not engaging enough for me to keep track of what was going on. I'm sorry, Azteca and Khrysalis. But also, I just want to bring this up really quick, but like, why is there a little bit of world breaking in Wiz? Because when we were finally introduced to the Arcanum, tell me why I turned around and Abner K. Doodle was sitting over there. Like, I'm not hating or anything, I'm just like, I'm just wondering, how did he get here? And why is he there? But also, I haven't played through, so maybe there's a reason why he's sitting there. Anyways, the real reason why I wanted to make this video was because I just realized how much I loved Polaris and Mirage. Like, I genuinely think those two worlds were the funnest so far, and I think the main reason why was that it didn't feel like a world where it was like, you knew where the world quest started and you knew how it would end. Like, the inclusion of the Arcanum in this little segment was so good. Can't get over it. And the introduction to Mirage and how it finally brought the story of Raven and Spider together was just delicious. Loved it. 10 out of 10. And I think this is the first time I was actually seriously engaged with what was going on in the story. And I know I said I didn't like Krokotopia because of the repetitiveness. And I guess you could say the same thing about Mirage, where you're just battling one gang after the other. But low-key, it was because of the NPCs. I'm sorry, but Ivan from Polaris and then Ozzy and Istar were the best characters so far. They're so silly, they're the silliest, I love them so much. They were included a lot in the main story, so I love that it didn't just end up being really boring. Also, the Sultana. And also, the Duncan Grimwater thing with the Cabal, that was crazy. I probably should have said spoiler warning, but I'm pretty sure everybody's like already played through Wiz. Anyways, I know Khrysalis had NPCs, like Old Cobb was super important and that little mouse, but for some reason it just wasn't the same. I don't even remember Khrysalis at all. And, like, I don't know if it was just that, like, the world was, like, super dark and gloomy or whatever, but I just can't remember anything. And I feel like part of it is that it just gets so unengaging that I kind of pitch out of the story. But the fact that Ivan and Ozzy were more silly, even though the main quest was serious, might have been the reason why it was so fun to play through Polaris and Mirage, but Khrysalis just did not stick with me. I also wanted to say how I feel like starting Polaris was when I realized that small dungeons or instances, whatever they're called where you stand on the sigils, took a little longer than what we dealt with in previous worlds. Like, it had 3 to 4 battles in Polaris and Mirage, which, to be honest, I was kind of a fan of. But in Mirage, I was struggling for my life against Irkala, but I loved that battle because it forced me to strategize a lot more than I usually did with other bosses, and it also prepared me a lot for Khan and Empyrea. Not even Empyrea, like before Empyrea, where I got hit way harder. But yeah, maybe it was just me eventually paying attention to the main questline in Polaris and Mirage, but I just loved those worlds so much. They were so silly and fun. Like the Baba Yaga fight, oh my goodness. It was so... I did team up for that, and it was... But yeah, hopefully the worlds after Empyrea will be just as fun or even better, and that's all I had to say.